So, have you ever tried to really, truly understand the nature of reality, only to find yourself more lost than when you first started? Well, today we're diving into a really personal and frankly profound account of that exact journey. It's a search for truth that doesn't lead to some neat and tidy answer, but to the state of deep, deep existential weariness. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? This is the core question we're going to explore. This isn't about finding a solution, but about stepping into the shoes of someone who has walked this path and is now wrestling with the fallout. The material we're looking at is just this raw, unfiltered monologue of that very struggle. I mean, this quote just sets the stage perfectly. It completely captures the idea that the deeper you go, the less you feel like you actually know. The search for clarity somehow ends up creating its total opposite, this profound sense of bewilderment. So let's unpack what kicks off this confusion in the first place. Okay, so it all begins with this fundamental conflict. On the one hand, right, we all experience ourselves as unique, separate people. But on the other hand, so many spiritual paths point toward a single, unified consciousness. And right there, in that tension between the two, the first crack in our understanding starts to show. This is the first big head-scratcher. If reality is really just one big consciousness experiencing itself from like a bazillion different perspectives, then what does that make me? How can I be this individual person if I'm also just a piece of this all-encompassing whole? The logic starts to tie itself into a pretzel really, really fast. And just when you think that first paradox is enough to chew on, another layer of complication shows up. And this one isn't some cosmic question, it's deeply, deeply human. It's about desire. The very act of wanting things, of enjoying life, suddenly becomes part of the problem. And right here you see this massive contradiction. The whole point of spiritual awareness, we're told, is to break free from samsara, that endless cycle of death and rebirth. But then the very act of living and wanting and desiring, well, that creates karma, which is the very fuel that keeps the cycle going. It's a perfect trap. And this just captures that frustration so perfectly. It's a spiritual catch-22, right? It's like you're put in this world that's just brimming with experiences, but then you're told that enjoying them is the very thing that chains you to the wheel you're trying so hard to get off of. And that feeling that you're fundamentally at odds with your own existence, well, that leads to some serious confusion. So with the very foundation of who you are and what your purpose is starting to crumble, we get to the real emotional core of this experience. This is the part where all those intellectual paradoxes stop being ideas and start becoming this visceral feeling of total instability. Wow. I mean, this quote just says it all. It's not just mental confusion anymore. It's like losing all your footing. Every single belief, every concept that once felt so solid has just turned to dust. There's no clear path forward because there's literally no solid ground to walk on. And of course, this just leads to a dizzying spiral of question. The mind just desperately tries to find its bearings again, It starts asking these huge questions that just seem to circle back on themselves, starting with the big one. And boom, we're right back to that core frustration, that central conflict. But now, the question isn't just some intellectual puzzle, it's a cry of existential pain. It's the sound of the hamster finally realizing it's on a wheel and has no idea how to get off. And this is where it all leads. You get this feeling of presence, of being here, but at the exact same time, you realize that the individual I might just be an illusion. You're the observer, sure, but who is observing? And just when the confusion is at its absolute peak, there's a sudden break in the clouds. Right in the middle of all that shaking ground and those bewildering thoughts, there's a moment of absolute, undeniable clarity. It's this incredible shift from thinking about reality to simply being in it. And in that state, all the looping thoughts, all the questions, they just stop. The past and the future, which are really just constructs of the mind anyway, they completely dissolve, and all that's left is the raw, unfiltered experience of the present moment. Just now. And this, right here, is why the confusion is so agonizing. Because the author has tasted this. They've had this experience of freedom so profound, so expansive, that it makes going back to ordinary, paradoxical consciousness almost unbearable. Once you've seen eternity, the cage of confusion feels even smaller and more confining than ever before. So this brings us to the final state, the conclusion of this whole journey. After the paradoxes, after the shaking ground, and after that fleeting, incredible glimpse of eternity, what's left? It's not enlightenment, It's not some grand answer. It's just exhaustion. It's like the mind reaches this intellectual checkmate. You ask the question, is there a final truth to be found? Well, if the answer is yes, and it's all just an empty void, then this entire struggle was completely pointless. But if the answer is no, there is no final truth, then the search itself is endless and you'll never find rest. Neither option offers any relief at all. And this really gets to the heart of it. This isn't a physical tiredness that a good night's sleep is going to fix. No, this is a soul-deep exhaustion. It's the kind of fatigue that comes from holding an unanswerable question in your mind for way, way too long. In the end, this massive, complex, cosmic journey is distilled down to its simplest, most powerful expression. The sheer weight of trying to comprehend the incomprehensible has left the observer just tired. And so, we end here, with the ultimate paradox. If consciousness really is all there is, and it created this whole bewildering experience for itself, the desire, the confusion, that little glimpse of freedom, and then the crushing exhaustion, then the final question is just, why? Why would the universe play such a beautifully complex and agonizingly cruel joke on itself? And that's a question we're all left to ponder.